Johns Creek. My name is Sean, and I'm running for the same office. Slightly different path of life, a little bit of contrast. So, y'all may have read a little bit about me in the news. I'm the guy that doesn't sit behind a computer screen. I go towards the fight. I'm one of two people who was subpoenaed by the January 6th Congressional Committee on Election Integrity. I was there as one of two people as an expert witness to explain what was being done by the very corruptible Stacey Abrams crew set to create all the fun buzzwords that we've heard and we've talked about. That was 6 weeks ago that I got to read my subpoena on the front page of the New York Times. Fast forward to today, I'm still dealing with that fight for people within my own party, but now the Fulton DA's office has wanted to do the same thing and continue to push this fight and ask what happened. Why did the electors meet? Why did you say that the vote needed to be overturned? What was the actual outcome? So I grew up, only child, single mom, in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. My father was in St. Simon, so I grew up right on the Florida-Georgia border. I had nothing. I started working when I was 12 years old, and I've worked every day of my life since. Usually 2 or 3 jobs at a time. I own a swimming pool construction company today. I employ over 100 Georgians. Legal Georgians, E-verified Georgians, that go to work every day pouring money into this economy. And I'm really proud of that. But the thing that's most important about that is that I've worked hard so I can give back. I pour myself into our party, and I have so for many years. I'm the finance chairman for the Georgia GOP. When I took over as finance chairman, we were 2 weeks from financial insolvency. The Georgia Republican Party was almost bankrupt 3 years ago. Today we have a surplus of $2.8 billion in the bank. And I'm the finance chairman that made that happen. I'm involved in everything statewide, not just in my city or in my county. But my business is in Gwinnett. I live in Johns Creek. I've lived in Johns Creek since before it was a city, when we used to be part of Alpharetta and Duluth. I've been a part of everything that's happened with that transition, with our T-SPLOS and our public works, and things that pertain to everyday living for the people who live in this community. So, when you look at that, that's 2/3 of the district. The other third is Forsyth County. I do more work in Forsyth County than I do in any other county in the state. And so I am uniquely qualified for this position, not only because I work here and I live here, I employ here, I'm a job creator here. And that's critically important when you're looking at legislation, not just to read a bill through a certain lens, but to be able to understand it as a business owner, as an employer, as somebody who has hired and fired hundreds of people, mostly on the higher side. But I have done that to ensure that our economy is driving forward. Georgia has a AAA bond rating. For 10 years in a row, we've been the #1 state in Georgia to do business. And that's largely because of my role fighting and advocating for small businesses and conservatives. Yes, I am a Christian. I have 3 daughters. They go to school in this community. So I wear with a badge of honor everything that I have ever done. Smear campaigns, garbage that's ever been written, it just rolls right off because I've heard it from the left. And now I'm hearing it from rhinos, and that's great to be able to do that. Because it tells me that I'm doing the right thing. And I will fight for that and stand up for that every single day. Thank you.
Stay right there.
Sir.
Okay, Sean, you start the first question off. If you are elected, compromise will be necessary to achieve success. What are your core principles that you will not compromise under any circumstances?
I think that Judeo-Christian values are a great way to start with that. you have a core set of beliefs. And that does help guide daily decisions. Compromise is not something that I see as compromising values as much as I see it as compromising or finding a solution that will get passed. Because we're dealing with both sides of an aisle, but we're also dealing with two sides of the chamber. You have to know how things operate on the House side as well as your own internal chamber on the Senate side. On day one, because I've been working so hard for the party, at the Capitol, doing the grunt work every day to build relationships for 15 years at the Capitol, I know what it's going to take to get things passed. I have helped bring legislation to life. So I know what it is to talk to both blue and red, to win opinions within my own party. It's relational. It's not being hard, it's not being a stick in the sand. You have to be able to guide things through by imposing your will, but also, more importantly, by being able to be very clear about your position and understanding what they need to accomplish to make the bill work. So there will be times that I disagree. But that's okay. You can disagree with somebody and still get things done. So anyone who says they're not going to compromise, that's going to be difficult, right? But to be able to negotiate a thoughtful and meaningful solution, that's what we need. And that is what the other state legislators are looking for from us. The new people that are elected, they want to know that we're there to support them, but to learn and to do the right thing. Thank you.
So regarding compromise, there are certain issues that I would not feel comfortable compromising on at all, and that concerns issues of faith and moral issues, especially. Like, I would never vote for any pro-choice legislation. That's something I'm never going to do, even if I get something I want on a really important issue like election integrity. That's not something I'm willing to do in terms of throwing away our humanity. Like, certain things are a line in the sand you can't cross. Having said that, I am willing to compromise as long as I feel like the other person does have a legitimate other side of the story, and there's something I can do to help us meet to get at least the bare minimum done so that our state is helped. One example is with school choice. There's a big debate within the state about whether school choice should be passed. To many of us, especially in this area, it seems like a no-brainer, and I frankly agree. But there are people in the rural areas who feel like since the largest employer in their area is a public school, that they really don't know if they want to give up that security of the jobs that they have there. So one of the proposals that I've had, if we can't get them to just do the right thing for the kids in places like Gwinnett, is maybe we can give them some kind of extra benefit in terms of broadband access or wireless towers or something. They have a lot of issues with getting access to things that we do take for granted here in terms of the internet. Maybe we can provide that and sweeten the pot a little bit, provide some extra funding for things that they're interested in. But we need to get the school choice passed. That's one thing where, there's certain goals that I feel like have to be met, and if we can give away things that we really don't want to in order to meet them, like secure elections, have to be done, period. If I need to give away something on funding that I don't necessarily agree with, that's fine. We don't have a country without secure elections. Same thing with school choice. That has to get done. The kids are suffering every day under these tyrannical school boards. That's something that has to get done. But in terms of morals, questions of my Christian faith, I'm not going to compromise on. Thank you.
Stay right there. Okay, Kevin. Do you support a forensic audit of the 2020 election in Georgia?
100%. One of the things that my group in Gwinnett County has been pushing for, actually, is a full forensic audit of the 2020 election in Georgia, at least at a bare minimum in suspect counties like Fulton, Gwinnett, DeKalb. We've sent countless letters, spoken with the legislators, I've called them, and you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And that's one of the reasons that led me to want to run, is because I realized you can provide all the data, all the evidence, the proof of signature verification failures. If they don't want to hear it and they're just not interested in dealing with that dirty laundry, I guess you say, that tough battle, they'll just hide and they won't address it, they won't do anything about it, they'll just pretend it doesn't exist. And they're not stupid people, I think they just don't really want to look at the facts. So for me, I said, literally the only thing we need is to get the levers of power in the hands of people who are honest, who are there for the right reasons. Like, I have zero interest in personal gain, zero interest in the power. It has no interest to me. And I'm putting my family through this because I'm concerned about this country. I'm not just concerned about the fact that we're going to lose a culture war or lose our values. I'm literally concerned that we're not going to have a republic anymore because of what is going on. If we didn't have the Second Amendment here, you see what's happening in Australia and even Austria, things can go down south quickly, even in a democracy like ours. So that's what I'm passionate about, and a full forensic audit is something that absolutely has to be done. Unfortunately, I'm concerned they're going to try to destroy the ballots before 2022 in November. We're trying to get those preserved, but there are methods we have to analyze the election, even after they destroy the physical ballots. You can look at voter rolls. You can still question the process that was used for verification and for maintaining voter rolls. People need to be held accountable. The ballot harvesters need to be held accountable, and our state government has not done that. So there's many avenues still to pursue on that front. Thank you.
Any Republican who doesn't say yes to that question, Tom, I think needs to not be part of the process here. Yes, we support an audit. But further than that, I didn't write a memo about it. I didn't make phone calls about it. I filed a lawsuit against the Secretary of State of Georgia in Fulton Superior Court demanding 92 points of questionable, fraudulent issues that happened. I didn't write a memo. I didn't make a phone call. I didn't door knock hoping that somebody would listen. I stuck my neck out so far as to be one of two people that filed a lawsuit against the Secretary of State of Georgia. The other one, anyone can guess? President Donald Trump. We were the only two people that filed a lawsuit demanding that. At the highest court in our state. It was withdrawn on January 8th, 2 days after Joe Biden was sworn in. That's the only reason it didn't go through. And the reason it didn't get heard is on the simple fact that no judge would call it to the calendar. So yes, the corruption is real. Yes, we know what is happening. Yes, I know in very, very deep detail. I have known for 13 months the geofencing data that you've all seen in the movie preview of the movie 2,000 Mules. I have been with True the Vote this entire time working on this. So yes, absolutely for it, but being on the very tip of the spear of this fight. Thanks.
This will be easy. Do you think Dominion should be out? And if yes, how would you get this done? Dominion machines.
I know them well. Voter confidence in Dominion is such that in Georgia, public opinion is never going to trust them again. It's just not going to happen. If we continue to use them, people are always going to question the outcome. People have argued on both sides whether Dominion worked or did not. I believe, many people believe, that they are fallible and they are subject to corruption. Therefore, we have to get rid of them. What to replace them with is something that's going to be open source, that we can see and secure and measure. Going back to paper opens us up for other issues, but getting rid of Dominion specifically, yes, we have to. I would add this as a further point. On Election Day in November 2020, Donald Trump won the vote with the Dominion counted ballots on that day. But it doesn't speak to the corruption that happened for the early voting in the weeks prior. That's where all the questions come in. So, if you're going to be helping draft the laws of this state, you have to have a voting system that we trust. And getting rid of Dominion is the first one.
Yes, so absolutely Dominion needs to be removed. If for no other reason than it violates Georgia law, it does not produce a verifiable ballot for the person casting it. And it also has multiple experts talking about its vulnerabilities, University of Michigan, for example. That's a no-brainer. But for me, I'm a little surprised to hear Mr. Still say that because I have not seen on any of his website, any of his pieces he's put out about Dominion. It seems to be glaringly absent. So I wonder why there's just been a change in perspective on that. And this kind of goes back to the 2020 election. Yes, he did file a lawsuit. He he paid for a lawsuit, he paid a legal bill and was able to get his name on a lawsuit. And he's exorbitantly well
I didn't pay a dime.
So that, okay, well,
Drop it.
okay. He got his name on a lawsuit, but the fact that since that time, I have not seen him discuss dominion voting machines, I have not seen him push, like my team has, for an audit, or go down to the Gold Dome and fight for election integrity. I don't know what he's saying about through the vote, I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it's very interesting that since that time, he was fighting for it, supposedly. He ran the ball a couple of times, so that he's been sitting on the bench since that time, telling everybody that he's the MVP of the game. Meanwhile, the fight is still going on. We could have used people supporting us at the Gold Dome, supporting our billboard.
It's called pending litigation.
Yeah. And the other thing I'll point out is
Hang on a second.
He's talking about the
The object of tonight is to answer the question so that people can compare and contrast. If you came here for personal attacks, then you're here for the wrong reason. You're not answering the question. Can I repeat the question?
Okay. Well, okay, fair enough. I believe I answered the question, and part of what makes a legislator
Well, you can sit down if you answer the question.
well, I did have one additional thought to add. Whether you have the courage and the will to do something once you get elected, it speaks to what you've done in the past. That's why I believe it's relevant. So that's why I mentioned it. Thank you.
Stay right there. What have you done for the citizens of Georgia thus far?
Well, I mean, just on a personal level, I've donated my time for 3 years. I volunteered at CLI, which is the Christian Library International. I believe they're called CLI Prison Alliance in Beaufort, Georgia. And that helps send materials, Bibles, and whatnot to inmates in prisons. And I also volunteer at my church. I'm on the security team pretty much every Sunday. I'm there helping out. These are things I did well before I ever considered running for office. I never thought I would be here. So those are things I've done on that level. On the politics side, I've been on the forefront at the grassroots of exposing what happened in the 2020 election. I believe I was the first person actually to knock on doors in the state of Georgia for canvassing. And we have a great operation going right now. And people can say that that's not important, but that's how they discovered that the election of John F. Kennedy was most likely invalid, is they knocked on doors and found out that a lot of these residences were not real people living there. That's a real way. That's how you find if an election is invalid, is you actually do the work, you put boots on the ground, and you find out where did these votes come from. So I've lost faith in the judicial system, frankly, to solve our problems. I think we need to get the evidence for ourselves, we the people. So that's something I've done, and we've still got more work to do, but I've been doing it almost all my spare time since 2020 has been spent on that, and pretty much nothing else. Thank you.
Where to begin? As a Christian, I've led hundreds and hundreds of men in Bible studies. I have volunteered thousands upon thousands of hours with Kiwanis and youth groups. My daughters do musical theater. I'm a drama dad. I'm the guy that stands up there and cheers them on and rips tickets and welcomes people into the door. And I do that in this community. Across the state, what I do is I am deeply involved in conservative politics. I'm concerned and involved with the direction that certain things are going. And so that's why I've decided to run. I didn't buy my way into anything. Everything I've ever done, whether it's providing office space or storage or anything to support a community group or a political group or my volunteerism with the party, has been 100% free. I've never made a dime off of anything that I've done politically. All I have done is put myself in harm's way when it comes to things I've done politically. But in terms of giving back, I tithe, but I equally tithe and give money back to the party that has given so much to me and reflects my values. So I double tithe, I guess, in that respect.
There you go. Sure, sorry. What would you fight for regarding illegal immigrants who came into Georgia during Biden's open border policy if elected to the Senate?
So, because Georgia is not a border state, there's nothing we can personally do to continue work on a wall. We know the wall didn't get completed. We know the Biden administration has allowed gaps in it. Because it didn't get done during the Trump administration, we have to employ other things. We have to employ troops, we have to employ digital, we have to use technology to help better manage the border. There are estimates that 2 million people have crossed that border since Biden was elected. Because I work in construction, I employ a lot of people who are Hispanic. I know deeply the path that people take to get here legally and illegally. Because I only hire legal people, I hear from them and I talk to them about the plight of their families, why they're coming. They're coming because they're scared. They're coming because of gangs and cartels and things that endanger them. I've lost 3 employees over the last 10 years to cartels because when they went home for Christmas to visit family, they were gunned down for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So while I understand and appreciate why people want to flee to this country, and not just Mexico, illegal immigration from China is worse than the illegal immigration coming from Mexico, just to be clear. They're not walking across a border. They're coming in container ships, okay? People are trying to get away from bad situations. So what we have to do in Georgia is create a situation for people to either be rejected if they're illegal or to be on a path to be here legally, otherwise they're going to get deported. I love what they're doing in Texas. They're rounding up people that are here illegally that were put there by the Biden administration and sending them back to Washington, D.C. I think it's hilarious, but it sends a strong message to the White House about what's going on. So I'm realistic about what we can do in Georgia, and I'm going to embrace everything we can to fight illegal but promote legal immigration.
All right, Kevin, what would you fight for regarding illegal immigrants who came into Georgia during Biden's open border policy if elected to the Senate?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to point out that my concern about illegal immigration has nothing to do with race or xenophobia, as a lot of people are afraid to even talk about this because they're going to get bad press about it, but I know my heart. I know that means nothing to me. I'm concerned about people's wages. I'm concerned about fentanyl coming into the country. So that's why the issue is important to me. And unfortunately, a lot of the Republicans in our state, almost all of them, don't want to address this issue with the fact that we do have tools, because they want cheap labor in the state, I believe, and it's something that they have an interest against solving. So what can we do? I believe the statute is 42-414. There's a statute in Georgia that says that if someone is detained, you're supposed to make reasonable efforts to determine whether they're illegal or not. The problem is that the law has no penalty. So the law is being flouted because there's no penalty to it and people don't enforce it. There's no teeth to it. That's one thing right off the bat we can do to make sure that when we get criminal illegals arrested, instead of just being let out again, that we actually check to make sure that they are legal or not. If not, they have notified DHS. And I respect that they're coming here for rational reasons. I have nothing against them. I might do the same thing if I lived in Mexico and I wanted to feed my family. It's nothing personal, but we have to look out for our country first. Second of all, in Gwinnett County, we have a sheriff who will not enforce, who won't help ICE enforce illegal immigration. There's a method you can use in Arizona to actually have a $5,000 penalty. Any citizen can bring a cause of action against an official if they're not upholding their duty to do the most they can to enforce legal immigration laws. And we could have that here easily, but we just choose not to. It's an issue that's ignored because of the big business lobby, but I'm not here for them, I'm here for the people. And I know my constituents, the people I talk to, are very concerned about this. Thank you.
Right there. Since 2015, HB 110 has been in effect for the state of Georgia, allowing the sale of consumer fireworks. Very soon after this bill went into law, the use of fireworks in Georgia expanded dramatically. So much so, the bill had to be modified multiple times to allow local municipalities leeway to impose restrictions. Regardless of local restrictions, Georgia law takes precedence on holidays. The incidence of personal injury in Georgia due to fireworks has also dramatically increased. In many communities, fireworks are often mistaken for gunfire. Family, pets, and dogs in particular are quite often traumatized by the noise of fireworks. The fact that fireworks vendors are now making a livelihood with sales in
PTSD, that can be a real concern. So I have no problem with local ordinances being put in place to say after a certain amount of time of the night you cannot have fireworks, because that's just common courtesy. Banning fireworks in general, I'm generally, this goes with the Second Amendment as well, I'm generally of the opinion that trying to ban things because people might damage themselves or things that responsible adults know how to handle is not a good idea. Usually it's a matter of education and making sure that people educate their kids on the right way to handle them. And I live in